Welcome to the SafeBreach and Palo Alto Network Cortex XSOAR webinar. Stay ahead of attacks by unifying Cortex XSOAR and SafeBreach. I'm Kimberly Bejan, Director of Product Marketing here at SafeBreach. And before introducing our presenters, I'd like to address this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for on-demand viewing. We're going to have questions and answers at the end of the webinar, so please feel free to post questions at any time during the session and we'll get those addressed. And with that, let's get started. Thank you for taking the time to join us for staying ahead of attacks by unifying a Cortex XSOAR and SafeBreach. Presenting from Palo Alto Network is Pramukh Ganeshamurthy. Pramukh is a technical product marketing manager for Cortex XSOAR at Palo Alto Networks. He started his career as a cybersecurity consultant at an MSSP, and he's helped establish multiple security operations centers for enterprises across different verticals. Prior to joining Palo Alto Network with Demisto acquisition, Pramukh was a product manager with Cisco's Security Business Group, managing cloud-based next-generation firewall products. Welcome and thank you for joining us, Pramukh. From SafeBreach, we have Valery Lakin, our lead product manager that manages all of our technical integration alliances, such as Cortex XSOAR from Palo Alto Networks, but also so much more from the numerous endpoint integrations, network, SIMs, ticketing, and source solutions. We are very fortunate to have Valery's technical background with his business insight to help drive tight integrations to get the most business value for our joint customers. Welcome, Valery, and with that, I will turn it over to you to start the presentation.
Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, so just a few words on the background and what we are talking about today. So we've seen in terms of statistics that a lot of attacks that happen to really mature security-wise enterprises, they usually what happens is that all and over again, all the same attacks are working, which means the configuration may be in place, maybe it's misconfigured. So many times, exactly the same controls that you already having in place supposed to be working and blocking those attacks, but they are not. And this is kind of interesting statistic that we see, that most of the cases, the firewall is there, all the controls are in place, but the attacks still going through. So this was kind of the reason for coming up with breach and attack simulation, and SafeBreach is one of the vendors in this area space. And our approach to breach and attack simulation is going really simple. So first, you need to simulate different techniques and tactics and simulate these attacks in your environment as it would be the real attacker or real hacker. In this case, you can actually validate that your controls are performing well and will be able to block these attacks that could happen. Then we provide various ways to visualize these attacks and the breaches that you have in the environment, and be sure that the security gaps, the most impactful to your business, will be addressed first. So we help prioritizing that and help you to understand what is more important. And finally, once you understand what risk you want to mitigate first, then we provide all the tools and capabilities to actually get these risks remediated. And now I will drill into that more in depth. Talking a bit about the simulations and different types of attacks that we have in our playbook. So it covers many different security control types, including cloud controls and container controls, network and endpoint, your email security controls, and DLP, of course. The way that we approach to the attacks is following different threat groups and covering their tactics and techniques, as well as more unique research and more unique attacks that we develop as part of our platform. So you will find different attacks such as malware transfers and drop to disk. You can also build your custom attacks. And the playbook, if we talk a bit about the playbook, it's growing over a week. We're adding more and more attacks. Today we have around 15,000 different attack methods. Every emerging threat that is out there, just for an example, Recently, we have Maze, and before that, we had the Hidden Cobra US cert alerts coming in. We're committing to have this coverage for these types of attacks within 24 hours, and you can test it immediately using SafeBreach. And we also work close with MITRE. We also contribute different techniques and tactics within the framework, and of course, we follow this framework to and map our content to this framework to be able to validate your controls in some kind of common language. When it comes to visualization, then you can consume the results in different ways. So we're talking about MITRE, you have the option to consume the results as a MITRE heat map to actually see which controls and where they performed well, or maybe where you have some blind spots. So you can view this results in the detection or prevention views to understand where is the visibility is the best. The other way is, of course, to consume it as Explorer in the Explorer view as a kill chain. We present in the kill chain different attack paths that potential attacker could infiltrate into your network, propagate, and get to the critical assets, and then steal these assets and get out of the network. So basically, it also shows you and helps you to concentrate on the most valuable places that breaking a specific chain will break the whole kill chain. And of course, we provide a lot of executive reporting to follow the risk and understand how your trends are going up or down in terms of the security posture. And finally, we get to the remediation point. We have a special module called Insights that provide you capability of viewing all the actionable and prioritized remediation by different security gaps that we discovered running those simulations continuously. So let's take a quick example. If you run network simulations and we have thousands of different simulations and few of them passing by, we provide you the impact of that that risk, and we provide you the remediation data that you can actually take, export, and use within your security controls to mitigate the risk. And we will talk about that also in the demo part. In terms of integrations, we also integrate directly with those controls. We integrate with the most major security vendors and SIEM controls in order to close the cycle. So what we do here is to validating your security controls and making sure that they're performing well. So eventually you get some kind of summary where when you see which security controls were working during the simulations and how were they performing, whether they're preventing or just detecting attacks. So with that, I will hand it over to Pramukh to talk a bit about the background and the XSOAR.
Thanks, Valery. So Cortex XSOAR is the industry's leading security orchestration, automation, response platform that is front and center to security operation centers. The platform itself has 4 key pillars of automation and orchestration, real-time collaboration, case management, and threat intel management. So what is automation orchestration? So orchestration itself is the ability to control the security product stack from a central location. Cortex XSOAR makes the capability and unleashes the orchestration, the power of orchestration and automation with the help of several built-in workflows called playbooks. And these playbooks work on top of hundreds of built-in out-of-the-box integrations, and this spans across all the security product categories, across SIEM and all the other threat intel feeds and other alert generation sources. Real-time collaboration is a key functionality, which is a Slack-like interface where all the different team members can actually collaborate in real time. This collaboration could be just interacting with different team members. For instance, a network security team member can actually go talk to vulnerability management team member in real time, as well as exchange artifacts and files that are actually being used in real-time investigation. And all these capabilities is actually stored in a functionality called War Room, and this is readily available for reference. Case management is a ticketing system, a very powerful ticketing system, which is driven by widgets and widget library. And all of this ticketing system is extremely modular and flexible, so that different teams having different preferences can actually view the artifacts, information, context, summary information across all the incidents and investigations as they prefer to. And lastly, the threat intel management piece is the latest functionality that we just added and we are bringing to the industry and targeted especially for the threat intel teams, because we believe that threat intel teams have to work hand in hand with the security operation teams. So the threat intel management platform actually has out-of-the-box integration with almost all the threat intel feeds out there, being open source, paid, custom feeds. And also we have ability to bring your own feeds into the platform. And with the help of threat intel management, we bring two core capabilities of being able to manage your feeds, but also being able to manage each individual indicator with the help of indicator page that we'll see in the demo. So let's go ahead and take a look at what are the top integration we have out of the box. So as we can see, we have around 400 plus integrations, and these integrations are by virtue of the bidirectional APIs, meaning you can also ingest incidents and artifacts right into the XSOAR platform, but also actively respond back into those products with the help of playbooks, actions, and also being able to do in a manual way with the help of the built-in command line interface. So these integrations spans across SIM, threat intel, malware analysis, endpoint, network security, authentication, email gateway, ticketing, messaging, cloud, and so on and so forth. So this really is a very comprehensive set of integrations. Everything is built out of the box, and this really requires the end users just few credentials and the API URL to actually get started. So this really opens up to a lot of use cases and scenarios that can be readily implemented with the help of Cortex XSOAR and integration. So let's go ahead and take a look at what are these top use cases. So the breadth of the Cortex XSOAR use cases really spans across SecOps, incident management, phishing, threat hunting, operational technology as well, vulnerability management, cloud security. And this really is a powerful capability, because this really unleashes the potential that the teams already have. You already have all these different products. It is just going to increase the ROI by using each of these products and putting the use cases into action. So you have this alert generation sources, but also you have enrichment and response sources out there. And Cortex XSOAR really acts a very cohesive force where you could actually bring all those incidents into XSOAR, be able to implement playbook response actions, and also be able to collaborate and communicate across different team members, enforcing SLA and so on and so forth. So we'll definitely see some of these in action in the demo part. So with that, I'll hand it over back to you, Valery.
Thanks, Pramod. So just to complete the picture in terms of the integration, we have two main use cases with integration with Cortex XSOAR. The first one is related to the remediation and to the insights that I presented a few slides earlier. Once you have these insights in place based on the simulation that you run, in this example, you can see maybe it could be a malware written to disk or blacklist malicious domains. We provide all these indicators to the XSOAR automatically, so it's being fetched to XSOAR and with the new capabilities this XSOAR provides. And based on these indicators, there are built-in playbooks that are going to be triggered in order to automatically remediate those indicators. And that's performed automatically on a daily basis on any different configuration that you could choose. And Pramod will demonstrate that in the demo part. The second use case is more of use case when you push a notification to Cortex XSOAR and you create an incident with all the information related, let's say, to a specific simulation. So you could run a specific simulation. You found that there is some issue with that you would like to remediate it. You can easily send it to XSOAR, and it will create this incident and trigger additional playbooks for automated remediation. Eventually, as the last part, we always will validate from the Cortex XSOAR, it will be triggered to rerun these simulations or the insights, and SafeBreach will return whether these indicators were resolved or still active. And then if they resolved, you're good. Basically, you did everything automatically and resolve the issue. And if it's not resolved, then it will be marked in a special way, and you can take it over with your security analyst and investigate it further. So now I'm going to switch to the demo, showing first how you consume this information within the SafeBreach platform. Once you logged into the SafeBreach, you can immediately see what is your posture in terms of different risk scores, an overall risk score, and different scores such as MITRE, and you can understand where your top risk out of this picture. Also, when you run some tests, run some simulations, you can have the summary of different security controls in place that are detecting and preventing these attacks. But the main module that I would like to focus on is the Insights module. So when you come into the Insights module, you see all these security gaps that we automatically discover to you, categorized by different security category. So let's take a look on the web category as an example. When I filter on the web category, we have 2 insights that are based on thousands of different simulations. And instead of going each simulation one by one, we just summarize everything in a single insight for you, that you can exactly understand how it impacts your business risk and how you can remediate it in terms of what is the remediation data and what you can do with that. We also have pre-built and pre-formatted files or remediation data that you can download already prepared for such products as Palo Alto, Panorama, or for SIEM, for the major SIEM platforms. So you can download that and upload to perform semi-automatic remediation. So we already prepared that for you, and then you need to go and put this information within the product. Or you can also download the raw data, and then you can go and use it in any product that maybe we do not support out of the box here. So the main goal here for integration with XSOAR is basically to reduce this manual part that you need to take this data and go and remediate it in other place. So all this automation happens from within the XSOAR. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Pramuk to show and demonstrate the demo how it works on the XSOAR.
Thanks, Valery. All right, so the integration with SafeBreach is built in out of the box, and it's available under the integrations page under settings. And it's very easily searchable just with the help of a search keyword, just like here. And as I mentioned, the integration spans across different categories, and everything is available right from the settings page, and you can actually search and filter across all. So the integration with SafeBreach involves a set of parameters, and this is just a one-time configuration. Very straightforward and simple. You just input the SafeBreach management URL, account ID, API key, and select few optional parameters. And by default, we have certain already inbuilt, but you can also actually go ahead and select network access, for instance. You already have endpoint and web selected. And also among the inside data type, you have options to select whether you want it hash, URI, command, port, protocol, so on and so forth. And you have the indicators limit as well. And this is where I really wanted to touch base a little bit upon the threat intel management capability of Cortex XSOAR. So here, what we are actually trying to bring is being able to provide a reputation, a pre-configured reputation, be it good, bad, suspicious, or none, indicator reputation, as well as the source reliability. Because most of the threat intel teams, they actually have this reliability scoring system, and it's really imperative for them to actually go choose reliability all the way from completely reliable or unreliable or couldn't be judged. So here we have completely reliable, and also the indicator expiration method is something which is a very important feature kind of missing in today's threat intel operations. So we have this capability to set an indicator expiration method on an indicator type, time interval, based on a time interval, or never expire, or when it is actually removed from the feed. Meaning if there is an indicator which is coming in from a feed, in this case SafeBreach, and if it stops coming in, the expiration method is actually applied on that, so it will expire. And we also have this ability to input the feed fetch interval. So here we have like 10 minutes, but you could actually have it like in hours or days. And we have some of the advanced optional parameters that you could actually go ahead and make use of it. And you can actually test the integration right from here. There you go, you have it successful. So that's very straightforward, plug and play kind of capability if you already have SafeBreach instance, you can actually pull all those indicators into Cortex XSOAR. So what it actually means in Cortex XSOAR is we have this multiple commands readily available by virtue of this integration. So we can actually get all these indicators, insights, remediation data, simulation, and test status, as well as rerun the insights in SafeBreach right from Cortex XSOAR, and also rerun the simulation. And all of this could be done from the built-in command line interface that you have it right here. We also have this automation browser, and you could actually have the SafeBreach lookup right here. But let's just go ahead and make use of this command line interface to run one of the SafeBreach fetch command, which is probably just go and get insights. So let's see what happens. So as I run this, the insights actually show up in the war room. So as you see here, all the SafeBreach insights are pulled and readily made available inside Cortex XSOAR. And this can be done automatically with the help of Playbook that I'll touch base in a minute. But as you see, you have the insight ID, name, category, risk, impact, severity, affected targets, data type. You could export it, but it's also readily available if you would want to actually go and pull one of the other team members, from different team to just go and refer it, or just mark it as a note, or mark it as a task, or just download these artifacts, add tags, because you could always go back and search and filter. So that's really the capability that you can always do ad hoc operation with SafeBreach with the help of command line interface. But let's go and take a look at the playbook. So playbooks and Cortex XSOAR are nothing but task-based workflows. We provide a lot of playbooks out of the box at this point, and we add a number of playbooks every 2 weeks. So with SafeBreach, we have this very interesting and powerful playbook using the integrations. So what it is doing essentially is actually going and fetching all the remediation for all the SafeBreach indicators with the help of this integration, and then it reruns the related insights and tags, puts a tags on it, and we'll see it in a minute how easy it is to actually put a tag. So this playbook, as you see, we can actually, the first task itself, so each rectangular box is essentially a task. So when I click on this task, it actually opens up because that's a nested playbook. So as you see, you have multiple playbooks pre-configured, pre-built. So what it essentially does is it goes and blocks URL, account, IP address, and file. So let's just go ahead and take a look at another nested playbook. So there you go, you see the power of the playbook. So if you have a playbook today configured, you can always repurpose those playbooks and nest it so that you don't have to go back and create more playbooks. And we have this built in out of the box. So let me go ahead and click on that. And what it is doing here is it's actually checking all the endpoints, be it Carbon Flag, Cyber Reason, Silence, Protect. So you could actually have one of these enabled, which you would have in your enterprise and environment, and it will actually go ahead and use that integration to block. So then the next task actually sleeps for the remediation to work in Cortex XSOAR using the orchestration capabilities, one of the enforcement points, extracts all the SafeBreach tagged indicators, extracts the list of tags, also the insight IDs, and then reruns the insights on SafeBreach, gets the remediation data, extracts the indicators from the rerun, compares set the remaining indicators, and also puts a tag on those indicators. So this really is a very powerful feature because all of this takes a lot of time today, and depending on the standard operating procedures and the best practices, which differs from an organization, it's really hard to get this going quickly. So one of the goals of Cortex XSOAR is to really minimize the mean time to response. So as soon as you have these indicators coming in from SafeBreach, this playbook will execute within the SLAs. We have the ability to enforce SLAs on the playbook level as well as on the task level, and get notified if there is an SLA breach. So that really implements your and completes the loop in a sense and helps you stay ahead of the attacks. So let's go ahead and see what happens once you fetch all those indicators. So we have this indicators page in Cortex XSOAR, and we have this nice looking view where you could search and filter, slice and dice data, because you could have indicators coming in from various different sources. So here I have searched based on the SafeBreach only. And as you see, I have multiple hashes coming in from SafeBreach. So for each indicator, I have the reputation data, first seen, last seen, source timestamp, source brand, instance, and so on and so forth. And you have multiple other data and fields that you could actually add it here. And clicking on each of these indicator opens up this full indicator page. And this is really a powerful capability for threat intel teams, SecOps teams, who really want to go and take a look at a deep dive information on each indicator. So this indicator actually shows that this is an active indicator coming in from SafeBreach. You have the tags already in place, and as you see, it is tagged SafeBreach insight ID, because that's the insight ID for this indicator. And you also have this SIM, because I have another playbook. What it is doing is it's actually going and taking domains as well as hashes. So I have two jobs created right here. What these jobs are doing is it's fetching indicators, both domain and hashes, and adding it to an SIM block list. And when it does so, it will automatically put a tag saying that it is actually blocked in the SIM. It's added to the SIM block list. So that tag is a very powerful capability, in the sense it adds a rich context to this indicator. And you have other reputation coming from different sources, and you have the source information, reputation, reliability. And if you click on this, you have much more information right here, which full view takes you back to this page. And also this is a rich piece of information for the teams who really want to go ahead and use these indicators to perform several other actions, right? You can also save these as queries and use a job to go run on these queries. Another thing is you have the timeline information, so it will actually show you when it came in and was it removed from the feed. In this case, it was removed, and you have the ability to add comments in this case. And this really helps a lot in terms of completely remediating the indicators and taking a look at those indicators. And let's go ahead and take a look at the jobs. So jobs in Cortex XSOAR usually runs the playbooks at a certain period of time. And these jobs can be configured either on the time, right, periodically, or you can actually configure a job which triggers every time a feed ingest comes into Cortex XSOAR. So these two jobs that you see here are basically the jobs which will trigger as and when the feed comes into Cortex XSOAR from SafeBreach. So what it is doing essentially is, and I'm going to run this job, it will actually go and perform it. It will run a playbook which performs a series of tasks. In this case, it's actually putting the hash into an SIM, right? So we have another one, for instance, domain. So this job has actually run, and it's actually added the domain coming in from SafeBreach into a QRadar reference set, which is a block list essentially. And it has also added a tag. And that's the reason we saw that for a specific hash and the domain, we had the tag in place. So that really helps in automating this and also basically running these playbooks periodically. And we really encourage to actually have these playbooks as a good reference point. Just go implement it, but also be able to develop your own playbooks with the help of this playbook editor, which is very straightforward and simple, and make use of all the out-of-the-box content as well. So that's pretty much, and I'll hand it over back to Valery.
Thanks, Pramu. So as you could see here, is that it's possible to actually either use the built-in playbook of SafeBreach that is available out of the box within the XSOAR platform, or you can use these building blocks to create your own custom playbooks for your special needs. That's really helpful. Okay, so to summarize the value that you get from this integration, you get the closed loop automated breach remediation, starting with simulating the attacks and discovering the security gaps in your environment. Then automatically remediating and validating the missed IOCs that your security controls for some reason did not prevent or detect. And eventually, it helps you to maximize the value of your existing security controls. Going back to the statistics from the beginning of this presentation, you can most of the time prevent the attacks just by changing the configuration or applying different policies in your existing controls. So here you get this value both from SafeBreach and XSOAR integration.
Thank you so much, Valery and Pramuk. This was very informative. We did get a couple questions. We've gotten about 2 questions that have come in so far. So we are going to move to the question and answer section of this webinar. If you do have any questions, please post now and we'll get those covered. So the 2 that we've had come in so far, one is for you, Pramuk. Let's see. Can the remediation jobs be run on a specific feed?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we saw, the remediation job that we had in place, in this case, it was a remediation job configured on a specific feed coming in from a SafeBreach. So we have the ability to actually create your own search query on indicators, and these indicators are coming through live feeds. And using that fetch query, you can actually implement a playbook and or a job. Both of those are possible. And so the answer is yes. And you could actually have these queries customized to your wants and needs. So in this case, yes, we were actually seeing the SafeBreach indicators coming in the job, and the job was running periodically, and actually it was automatically putting those indicators which were malicious into the enforcement point SIM. It could be a firewall, it could be any other enforcement point.
Okay, very good. The next question that came in, Valerie, this would be for you. So it says that, you know, we saw from Cortex XSOAR the full list of integrations that they have. What types of integrations are available within SafeBreach?
Yeah, so we support different types of integrations. I could start from the orchestration tools such as XSOAR. So that's helps to remediate and helps to mitigate the risk after you simulate the attacks. But we also support additional integration directly with the security controls in order to get the security events to the SafeBreach and correlate them automatically to our simulations. So you don't need to go to your SIEM control or try to figure out what happened during the simulations. You can actually see these events and see the exactly security controls actions within SafeBreach platform. So we integrate with the leading network, endpoint, and SIEM controls. And of course, we integrate with additional workflow tools like Jira and ServiceNow in order to handle all these findings that we discover. And finally, recently we also added a new capability integrating with vulnerability management tools. And if you'd like to hear more, you can jump on our website or contact us directly to hear more about that.
Yes, exactly. We do have a page for that, and there's a webinar coming up later in June. So stay tuned for that as well. Excellent. Another question that has come in recently, Pramuk, this is for you. Does Cortex XSOAR have to have out-of-the-box playbooks around threat intelligence use case scenarios?
The answer is yes. We have a number of out-of-the-box pre-configured playbooks, and those playbooks are available also in the free community edition. So I would definitely encourage go download the free community edition. They start with the keyword TIM, threat intel management, and these could be just used around all the different use cases that we have configured.
Okay. And one more question that's come in. Since the indicators are synthetic because they are a result of a synthetic attack, what values do they add to remediation? Valerie, you want to take that one? I mean, these are real indicators that are actually being used in the wild that we have. This is not just synthetic.
Yeah, sorry, could you repeat that again?
Oh, since the indicators are synthetic, is this because they're a result of a synthetic attack? What values do they add to remediation?
Okay, so basically what happens is that we simulate in terms of indicators, the real ones. So all the IOCs that we simulate, it is the real IOCs. We do it safely. This is the purpose to simulate, and we control all the simulations if it's in the network. So we transfer these malicious payloads between two different simulators to validate your security control in the network level, or if it's in the host level. So we actually try, for example, to drop malware to disk and perform some behavioral attacks as well. But in case we provide to you the indicators in way of hashes, domains, URLs, commands that we executed for example, for credential theft or different processes that we create. So we all of these are real. So when you go to a specific security control, you can actually plug it in or change the policy that maybe it might not be configured right, and be sure that the next time that this real indicator will be in place, you will be protected.
Excellent. Perfect way to answer that. And that does cover the questions that have come in from today's webinar. So this ends today's webinar. Stay ahead of attacks by unifying Cortex XSOAR and SafeBreach. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day. And Valerie and Pramuk, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks.